Hey everyone. Please support what I do to help keep Greyhawk alive by subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get early access to videos, exclusive live chats, quarterly adventure modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show. It's been a while since I've done one of my read-throughs of the World of Greyhawk, so that's what we're going to do today on Greyhawk Grognard. So last time we ended up in the plains of the Paynims, and I'm still using my well-worn copy of the Guide to the World of Greyhawk to go through this. Next up, we've got the Pomarj, which is down there. This is the land that I wrote my Dragon Magazine article about way back when. Um, Population of 20,000 with a question mark on it because it is a land that used to be civilized and then was overrun by humanoids. The rich peninsula was originally a collection of petty states under the protection of the Prince of Ulick. Prince of Ulick being a dwarf, um, and Ulick being right there. Uh, Not content with his status, the nobles of this area forswore their oaths and drove out the garrisons of the sovereign's castles, taking them for their own. For several decades, the Pomarj prospered under this new freedom, the mines and the Drakengard and in the sea trade, making noble and commoner rich alike. However, in the hateful wars, which we talked about briefly when we were talking about some of the Ulick states and so forth, um, uh, where was I? The combined Ulick states, with cooperation from Voluna and the demi-humans of the Crown Hills, broke the power of the Euros and Gebli hordes, orcs and goblins, which I love the little that they use the flan terms for the humanoids here, which had nested in the Lort mills and were attempting to spread in the lands around. These humanoids were finally driven out and scattered, some fleeing northward towards the Atolls, but most taking to the Sis Forest and thence to the rugged mountains of the Pomarj. Finding the humans there weak and indolent, the invaders attacked quickly. So basically, and this happened around 510, 515 common year, so around 60 years before publication of this. So basically 60 years ago, a bunch of humanoids were driven out of this mountain range, came through this forest, and took over the Pomarj because they found it weak and divided and so forth. Um, and since the Prince of Ulick had already been driven out, it wasn't his, he couldn't do much about it. Um, and then, so that became a big source uh, of annoyance to everybody because now the humanoids have this relatively safe space in here. They're they're relatively safe because they're surrounded on three sides by water. You're not going to they're not the most direct threat to anyone except the Principality of Ulick and some of the little city states here on the Wild Coast. So you're not gonna, there's not the impetus to have another hateful wars to finally annihilate them. And later on in the setting, we see that they actually do get organized and they start to conquer the southern part of the Wild Coast. That'll happen in the as part of the Greyhawk Wars and so forth, where Torosh Mak organizes things and then makes an empire where none has stood. But that was the origin of it. Is that they came from there. They uh, found their home, their new homeland, and so forth. So, and that gives you this another recurring theme. We saw this in the Pale. Is that the land was uh, under the suzerainty of another ruler. They overthrew that ruler and gained their freedom, only to get conquered yet again. And you see this over and over and over. The Pomarj is also notable because it's the base of the slave lords in the mountains there in the hidden city of Suderham. So you're going to there's a lot of lore and a lot of adventuring possibilities there. There's talk of there being a sleeper, which in my article I made Provis, the hero deity of the Flan people. I've read elsewhere that it's actually a sleeping. That in the original campaign it was a sleeping a pit fiend. So there's a lot of things going on in the Pomarj, and it's a great area for adventuring. So next up, we have the Archbarony of Ratik, with a population of 35,000. Ratik is right there just below the Timberway forest there, uh, right tucked away between the mountains and the sea. This is a land that has a lot of possibilities, and I've heard of a lot of Greyhawk fans who place their campaigns here. I did one once there myself. Um, and I think the reason it's such a popular place is that it does have so many possibilities for adventuring right there. You've got the humanoids in the Bone March to the south. You've got the Sul barbarians to the north. You've got the mountains where you could have humanoids and so forth. So there's a lot to do there. Um, and the history is given here. Basically, it was originally part of the Great Kingdom, like just about everything was. And then when the humanoids came down into the mountains, Ratik was so strong. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Uh, um, the barbarians um, kind of were attacking as they are wont to do, and the Baron, well, the ruler of the area, managed to defeat them. So he was created as a baron by the Overking, and then later on, when the humanoids started coming out of the mountains and they were going to, they were on the rampage. Radic was too strong for them, and decided, and the humanoids decided to take over the Bone March, what is now the Bone March, part of North Province. And once that happened, and Radic was kind of cut off from the Great Kingdom, it became a fief palatine, basically a self-governing area, autonomous area. Um, and the article goes, oh, the article, the book goes into some very specific things about the army there, the spearmen and so forth. But what really is the attractive part about Ratik is the fact that it does have, it is this isolated little pocket of civilization with a lot of wilderness and hostile forces immediately surrounding it. So if you're an adventurer in Ratik, you can go in any one of a number of different directions, and you're going to find stuff to do. So it's in that respect, it's very good. There's also um, a, a great deal of intrigue that swirls around Ratik because they are dealing with the Northern barbarians now. They're actually training the barbarians here in modern for the finesse warfare tactics. So their army is much better than those of the other barbarians around them. And there's a whole thing going on around there about making peace treaties between Ratik and the barbarians, and there's a lot. There's a lot to do and a lot going on, both on regular adventuring and kind of a political intrigue level. So that's what I love about it. Next up, we have Rel Astra, which is down here. It is basically a city state. His most lordly nobility, Drax, the constable mayor of Rel Astra. Um, the city itself has a population of about 64,000. There's another 26,000 in the surrounding lands. Basically, this is a semi-autonomous city-state, um, and the leader of Rel Astra is plotting against the Overking, because everybody's plotting against the Overking. That's what they do over there. And according in at this time, we see that Rel Astra is trying to reach out to Medigia for an alliance so that they can together kind of stand fast against the Overking. Later on, there's a lot of tension between Rel Astra and Medigia because they see each other because the Medigia sees Rel Astra as a rival, and there's a lot of stuff down there. I like the little city states. I find that very um, uh, uh, a very interesting place to adventure in because from a DM's point of view, it's easy to set up. All you need to do is detail out one city and maybe a couple of villages around it. It's so you can get a lot of detail that way, which I really love that idea. But basically, it's part of the machinations of treachery and intrigue around the Great Kingdom. It's on the coast, so it's got some naval power. It's there's nothing particularly standing out except for this little bit. Recently, the Rel Astros have employed mixed human and orcish scouting bands as light troops in the Grandwood and similar groups on the Lone Heath. So, like Medigia and other. areas of the Great Kingdom, they're bringing in humanoid troops, which from their standpoint, given the hostility of the humanoids traditionally, as we just saw, the humanoids had taken over the Bone March to the north, but they're gradually being accepted into the military forces because they're cannon fodder, so that's really good for them. Next up, we have the Rovers of the Barrens, which are right here. Now, I did a very in-depth look at the Rovers of the Barrens not too long ago, so go ahead and see if you can find that. Um, but as far as what's in here as of Common Year 576, there are around 65,000 of them, led by Kishwa Dogteeth, chief of the war dogs. I love the fact, I'm not going to repeat everything I said in that other video, but I love the fact that the Rovers of the Baron are dog themed, dog, rover, get it? I love that there's a pun built into this entire set of people. Um, they these tough nomads were content with their herds and occasional raids into Furiondi. The Bandit Kingdoms are 10. Um, and then at the Battle of Opicum River, um, the Rovers tried to um, defeat Ayus and the Horn Society who were fighting together. Um, they got pasted, and they are only now slowly recovering. So that's basically where they stand now, is that they are defeated, and they're only that 20 years ago, 30, what was it, 20 years ago? Um, that doesn't say. So, but yeah, not within recent memory, they suffered an enormous defeat, lost a bunch of their chieftains and a bunch of their warriors, and that's where they're going now. Uh, and then last, for today anyway, we have the Scarlet Brotherhood. And his remember, this is just a read through of the guide. So this is before the wars, before the Scarlet Brotherhood was revealed, and so forth. Um, and before, obviously, the Scarlet Brotherhood book, which eventually I'll get to. His peerless serenity, the father of obedience, true name unknown. So I love that. And they're headquartered down here in the peninsula, way at the bottom of the Flness here. Um, it is said that an order of monastic religious militarists was founded long ago on the plateau south of the closed city of Croterlep. The order is purported to espouse the cause of the Sulois as the rightful rulers of all the Flness, claiming superiority of that race above all others and embracing evil as the only hope of achieving its ends. Um, and then the outcome of that was the Scarlet Brotherhood itself. Um, the Brotherhood is a tripartite, according to tales told, with thieves as its lower rung, assassins next, and then the smallest to highest rank of monks as superior. Um, and they really play up the idea that this is a mysterious group that nobody really knows about. As we saw in the history outline, um, the Scarlet Brotherhood was only first reported 3 years prior to the time frame of the book. So um, this is way before we see them everywhere. We do see that there's a temple and monastery of the Scarlet Brotherhood is supposedly a fortress and walled town unto itself, guarded by soldiers, humanoid legions, which are being readied for future conquest, and monsters trained to serve the Brotherhood. One thing I noticed about this particular entry is that it really heightens the idea that the author of the book is an unreliable narrator. Because it keeps talking about tales tell of this and rumor has it that this and so forth. So it's really emphasizing the fact that even though there are some details given here, it is um, it is more than usually wide open for the DM to change things up and use the Scarlet Brotherhood as a lurking threat in the background to for the DM to use as a long term villain, and I love that about it here. Obviously, later on they uh, detailed the Scarlet Brotherhood in enormous detail with all kinds of things. There's an entire book about it. Um, but I think as we've seen most of the time, the brevity here, it's literally one paragraph long, the Scarlet Brotherhood. And in that one paragraph, they lay such a great foundation for this truly iconic group of villains. I would put the Scarlet Brotherhood up against the Zentarim as one of the classic D&D villain organizations that have ever been created. So anyway, that's where we are for today. We will continue this at some point. This is not the most popular series of videos that I do, but there is a solid and vocal core of you out there who do like them. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and hope you're all having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all later.
Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.